Hello, everyone. It's IT Chill here. Today, I will like to talk about DCRNG and backdoor. In computer files, elliptic curve backdoor video on YouTube, Dr. Mike explained general format of how a deterministic cryptography random number generator should look like. However, I find that the CRNG diagram drawn by him may not be used in actual DCRNG. I will try to explain why do I feel that way. Please do bear in mind, I am not an expert, so there definitely will have some inaccuracies. I will try to explain DCRNG using my own diagram. In the same time, I will be providing some links to use for you all, as the diagram needs to use random data and cryptography hashing. S refers to state or seed. Seed or state, you can imagine it as a strong, randomly generated password. There are procedures on generating or choosing and using first random data for state or seed, but that is something that I can't explain. If you want to read it on how they fill the data for seed or state, feel free to look it up by yourself. After we have our seed or state, which filled with random data, we need to hash the seed or state to get a hash result. That hash result will then be used to both derive new state and generate random data for cryptographical use, like the private key in any PKCS or secret key in any symmetric encryption. It is extremely obvious for people who understands how hashmag, hash-based message authentication code, and nothing up my sleeve number works. X and Y are some publicly, randomly generated data. The usage of them is to mix up with the result of E, via appending or XOR with it. In computer file video, there is no such thing with using publicly, randomly generated data to mix up with the result of E. I think that by not mixing the result with public data, there could be a cryptographically security issues. However, I am not quite sure whether I am correct on this, because this speculation can be determined by multiple factors which I may not know. I will be showing the steps to generate random data by using DCRNG. You guys can also try out the steps from computer file or from my diagram. You will not know how it works unless you trial and error a lot. You can pause the video if you want to. Cryptography backdoor usually exists in numerous forms. The first form is changing the mathematical functions within the cryptography algorithm. How it works, you may not need to know. However, you need to know its effects. First form of backdoor allows using mathematical properties to implement a reversible cryptography hashing, which turns it into encryption. It also makes encryption and decryption, be it from PKCS or Diffie-Hellman key exchange, weaker, such as reducing its brute force operations. In the case of symmetric encryption, it may not need to take 2 to the power of 128 operations. It may only take 2 to the power of 32 operations. Only serves as an example. The obvious example of current suspected cryptography backdoor is elliptic curve, random number generator backdoors as described by computer file. There are obviously other negative effects which I may not know yet. That is something for you to discover. The second type of backdoor is hardware-related backdoor. Let us suppose that the DCRNG has no backdoor. The software which embedded in the hardware has a backdoor. This corresponding backdoor, after performing required operations, may record the data used in the seed or state and sends it to government agencies or MNC for good purpose. The third, or possibly may be the last backdoor, is law compliance related backdoor. I will do a video about the difference between law compliance and security compliance in future video. For now, you may not be entirely sure what I meant by law compliance. When there are crimes, warrants will come out. The authors or developers of the platform will be forced to comply with investigations requests from law enforcers or governments. Please do bear in mind that sometimes it does not even need crimes or warrants to comply with law. Under such circumstance, the authors or developers will need to do something to the platform or their software to implement the backdoor for the suspected criminal. This was done to gather evidence for the suspected criminal. Any comments were not appreciated for this video, as people need to have their own ground after hearing interesting yet controversial debates. Next video, I will talk about Snowden, DJB, EFF, NIST, and any nations that have their own government agencies which are responsible in developing and managing their own version of cryptography standards and algorithms. That's all for this video. Thank you very much.